Welcome back to yet another interesting session with B-GHUD. I'm Elizabeth Anisleva, and today here we are to discuss some phrases that we come across in IELTS across the modules. And to discuss these phrases with us, I have here Mr. Ibrahim Burgess.
Hello, namaskaram.
Who was in London for 45 years, and therein he worked as a barrister. So shall we begin, sir?
Well, indeed, we are entirely in your hands.
So, the first phrase, it is something that we come across, or that is something encouraged to write in IELTS essays. A highly competitive and changing world.
Yes. Well, I don't think I need to expand on what highly competitive and the world is about. It is highly competitive, but if you look at it in relative terms, it is no more competitive than when the world's population was half of what it is today, or a quarter of what it is today. It is highly competitive because we see more people actively in our lives, running here and there, going to various jobs, some people having 2 jobs or 3 jobs. Well, this is not uncommon in the old days, whereas a woodcutter would also be a fisherman, would also be a trainee carpenter or something like that. So there's nothing unusual about it, excepting that the demands of time and the need to keep a job is becoming more critical. At the same time, companies are also very concerned about employment of people who will be in the firm. In other words, commit themselves to a corporate life or to a firm's life. And because it's an expense to actually train somebody or lose their experience of 15 or 20 years and expect somebody new to actually occupy that place. Well, very often there are people who have had that experience, who are in the line behind the person who has left, but somehow or the other you'll find that they have got some shortage of leadership or some other characteristic which is not exactly what you want in a person who's leading a department. The other thing is that transportation has increased considerably. So that means that you see more people going up and down more frequently, and you think that the work pattern is extremely loaded. In one way it is. But you have compensatory methods, or we have invented compensatory methods by which we compensate for the time it takes to walk from one place to the other, time to take a rickshaw and go to the other place, the time to actually use a bullock cart to go to another place. We have compensated for all that. And so while you have done that, we have also expanded upon the base level of living of people. In other words, the standard of living of people has increased. But on a wide spectrum, I would say that it is a relative comparison, simply because we don't know exactly, or we can't take into account exactly how it was then. And I think that is very important to bear in mind. It's like saying every generation that passes by, they will, your parents will tell you, oh, this is not how we used to behave. Well, their parents used to say the same thing, and so on beyond that. And we are likely to say the same thing. So there is nothing new about that form of behavior. It's just that the circumstances, the way it comes out, the newness of it, the discovery of it, all those are new objects and no new criteria that participate in our lives. As far as technology is concerned, yes, it has advanced considerably, but we have also advanced along with it. All right. So basically, that's how much I really need to get into it, because otherwise you go into superfluous material and which needs a lot of explanation. Okay, but there is this dichotomy, and we must recognize it.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm sure that is Definitely helpful when we write essays.
Right, let's hope so.
Right. So shall we move on to the next one, sir?
Please.
Right. So the next one is essentially something that we can use for IELTS speaking module. Character is made or marred by emotions. Could you elaborate?
Yes, I think I can. Um, I shan't use my personal experience very much because I can certainly say for myself that I have been marred by emotion in many ways. It depends exactly on the kind of character that you are. To take a simple example, there are people who are so hard-hearted that people like me would call them hard-hearted. They think that they're perfectly normal, which is exactly so, right? They might think that we are too soft-hearted, who get emotional when certain subjects are talked about, when certain events happen. They can't distinguish between a happy situation and a sad situation. And there's nothing wrong with that because that is the constituency of that person. That's the construct of that person. And it does, experiences does affect your emotion. Private relationships affects your emotion. Having children and relating to children has its emotions. At workplace, you have your emotions. And, you know, it sometimes is illogical to think what the reasons are behind the emotional outburst or the cause of that emotion. All one can say is that basically it is something that has stirred the person, it has affected that person, and it can be manifested in different ways. It can be expressed in tears, it can be expressed in writing, it can be expressed in keeping aloof, it can be expressed in depression, it can be expressed in not eating. In so many ways it can be expressed. The fact is that you are emotionally disturbed. And today we have got experts in this field who can tackle you patiently and hopefully get you back to normality. What is normal is the next question. I don't think anybody knows what is normal. We like to think that we are normal if we don't have any medical or recognized medical problem. But who says so? Okay, so it's a very relative topic. And talking generally, I can say that emotion is a very strong expression also. It is not a sign of weakness, okay? It is clearing your system. It is actually giving vent to your emotions, your feelings, your inner depths being stirred. So it has, and you're coming with it all out. And that gives you strength because once you have expressed your emotion, and I'm not talking about being emotional against a private individual, even though that also applies in many situations. But once you've expressed yourself, you've cleared yourself of a burden. All right? One of the reasons why I think, you know, applying my own logic, why women are susceptible to quick emotions is because they feel that they will feel better. Not that they logically think about it or rationally think about it, but they do feel better once they express their emotions through tears or some other behavior and then get attention. That's also very important because when they express themselves and get no attention, they get even further hurt. So it's a very powerful weapon anyway. Okay? Thank you very much for listening or seeing this video. For me, it's a pleasure to work with this young lady, Elizabeth, and I hope that what I have talked about is going to be constructive for whatever it is that you are seeking. Thank you very much. Namaste.